Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for the Bridge Season 2, Episode 2, Ghost of a Flea. Now, I really enjoyed last week's episode. I thought the episode was very, very good, jam-packed with a lot of really good stuff. And this episode I actually thought was 10 times better than that. I really enjoyed this episode. There was a lot of stuff I enjoyed about this episode. There were a lot of plots in this episode, but really a lot of them were all linked together. There were kind of just like two actual plot lines in this episode. So, we'll just get to it, because I overall really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was definitely very, very good. So as we know, the end of last week's episode, we met our villain of the season, Eleanor Nacht. Basically, she, as we know, was standing there naked in an alley, and she was basically making it seem like, something bad happened to her, and, basically, she sees these two teenage boys. Basically, she convinces one of the teenage boys, Kyle, from the alley, and convince him to bring her to his home for clothing in the car. And she also said she'd basically have sex with him if he did this for her. But what she really wants to do, of course, is probably kill him. But we know that's what her real motive is. And basically, she looks around for the house as the boy fishes out more clothing for her. She walks into Kyle's little brother's bedroom, and it's really creepy, honestly. I mean, that scene was like, what the fuck is she doing? Now, we can already see she's, like, very unpredictable. We don't know what she's gonna do. She takes a playing card that the little boy is clutching in his hands as he sleeps, kisses him on the forehead, and Kyle then finds her in his little brother's room and offers the clothes. She tells him that he should say goodbye to his brother, and, Kyle's very confused by the suggestion, mutters half-hearted goodbye as they leave the house to the garage. So, we know what she's probably gonna do. She's probably gonna kill him, but we really don't know what she's gonna do. So, yeah, I thought that was just really, really creepy the way they started it. So, back at the murder scene of the lone car driving in circles in the middle of the desert, it's confirmed that the man in the car was Eleanor's henchman, and he worked for the infamous Fozzo Gallivan. The dog in the car is a taxidermist, Yankee, who is the mascot of sorts for the DEA, which he calls the attention of their office. Hank and Sonya are still investigating this, and Hank takes a moment at the scene to question Sonya about her personal day, and he wants to know if and why she was visiting Dobbs, and Sonya doesn't want to disclose to him exactly what she was doing on her personal day, and counters him by asking if he'd ask her about it, if she were a man. Honestly, I personally enjoyed that scene because, as we know, she did have sex with that guy. I forgot what his name was, but she had sex with him. So yeah, definitely, that was definitely very interesting. Now, Yankee is giving him a lead to a taxidermist in the area, and when the detectives enter the taxidermist shop, the man at the counter becomes very nervous and confesses that a woman and a man threatened him into taxiderming a human corpse, and he shows the corpse to the detectives, which is already rotting, and that's the reason why he can't preserve the body. Now, meanwhile, in Juarez, Marco is just waking up, and it's, basically, he's doing the same thing. We see him get up from the bed of a woman he spent the night with, so it's kind of normal there. Has the breakfast, notices one of his police officers keeping a lookout on him, and he then goes to the station only to see the other cops making fun of him. And he's very, pissed off because he looks, paranoid or whatever, and he's pissed off at this. So, he literally nails the cop with a phone and a fight, and it's just, tons of shit is going down with him. Marco ends up looking like the crazy bad guy, but, basically, it gets so intense that the prosecutor actually has to stop the fight, because it was that intense. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's going far. I was surprised by how far Marco went, surprisingly. I was like, holy shit. I know he's having a bad day, but clearly, he's forced to be reckoned with, really. He's not a bad guy, but, I mean, he's definitely what makes an anti-hero. And that's one of the best things about FX shows is the anti-heroes. Like Boyd Crowder and Stan on The Americans. People that you understand why they're doing things, but they're kind of like the anti-hero. You don't know if you want to root for them or not. With Marco, he seems like a nice guy, but he has a very bad temper. Basically, the prosecutor later tells him that starting that fight with witnesses almost ensures that those cops can't go after him without being considered suspects. That's kind of why he stopped the fight, because, the cops can't go after him if that happens. So, yeah. So then we see the dead body uncovered at the taxidermist shop was an undercover U.S. agent with the DEA involved. Now, Hank tries to get more information from their agents, and Sonya speaks with the agents and all men who seem not to take her very seriously because she's a woman. Now, when she mentions that a female accomplice could be involved, the DEA head agent practically dismisses it. And Hank knows the kind of men he's dealing with. He decides to cooperate, even though he must have something else up his sleeve. You can kind of tell he has something else up his sleeve. We don't know what yet. So something else is going on there. We really don't know. Now, Sonya's working on the lead from the taxidermist about a woman with the ledger and a man. They check border security video, and they find the dead man in the car, which, Eleanor's henchman, and a churchy-looking woman who matches the taxidermist's description. So, they're getting closer to finding out actually what's going on. So then Marco's at the bar, winding down from the fight and in his day, so definitely, he's trying to figure, he's trying to not get caught by the cops, and the prosecutor shows up and pleads with Marco to help him find out who is behind Hugo Marcus's murder, the disappearance of a woman in Juarez, and their connections to the police. Now, they're in some deep shit, and Marco is hesitant to get this prosecutor too involved. He's been skirting that line between good and bad for far too long. So, yeah, that definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, Hank admonishes Sonya for not complying with the DEA by putting out an APB on Eleanor, and Sonya assumes he's really admonishing her about spending time seeing Jim Dobbs and his brother Jack. And it upsets her, so she wants to upset Hank too, and basically admits him that she did have sex with Hank. She does admit that, and I thought it was good that that she did have sex with Jack, not Hank. She admits to Hank that she had sex with Jack. And Hank doesn't know what to say, but Sonya chooses to back off by apologizing for the APB. And definitely Hank has this look on his face, and he's really upset. Now, here is probably one of the biggest twists of the episode. I thought this was a genius twist. We actually see Hank confront Jack, and we basically find out that they know each other very, very well. They have some sort of agreement regarding his brother and Sonya, and Hank doesn't like that he slept with Sonya, or is in any way getting close to her. So, we don't know why, but that's definitely going to be a very interesting thing to see why. Now, Hank reminds Jack of his brother, and that they have the same upbringing, and both can have same kinds of violent tendencies. Now, it's like a threat and warning all in one. Their conversation also leads us to believe that something else went down the night Hank shot Dobbs, and these two are hiding it. So far, the only thing we know that their agreement is to get Jim into the ground, and Hank wants the man dead, while Sonya wants him to stay alive. So we don't know what's actually going on there. Definitely, there's something else going on there, and I'm very interested in seeing what else is going on there. Now, all the while this is happening, we learn of the main DEA's agent's true motives. He explains to a fellow agent that in regards to this investigation, they're in for the big prize, catching Fatso Galvin, and it's the reason why they're sitting back and letting Hank, Sonya, and company do the sniffing around, so that this case won't catch the CIA or any other, government agency's attention. Now, this guy wants all the glory in catching Fatso Galvin single-handedly, and just because of that, we're pretty sure he's not going to be the one to take Galvin down, because he kind of wants all the glory. So, who's actually going to take him down? We don't know. Now, speaking of Galvin, Marco gets a message to meet up with the Captain Robles. The captain is just there to lead Marco to Galvin, who wants a favor, and he tells Marco to go back to the U.S. and to work with Sonya and co. on finding Eleanor, and Galvin insists that he must find her before the Americans do. Marco hesitates. He doesn't want to do any favors for a man like Galvin, but he also understands the dangers in refusing such a powerful man. And basically, Galvin's accompanied by a businessman. We see Marco resolve wavering. The businessman tells Galvin that he believes there must be a better man than Marco for the job, but Galvin has faith in Marco and believes he will do it. So, Yeah, and then we get another really surprising scene, probably the second most surprising scene in the episode, because we hear someone knocking at Sonya's door, and we don't know who it is. And it turns out it's actually Marco that's knocking at her door. And basically, he tells her that his captain is sending him to help with the case, and, she's glad it's him, and basically, that's the big thing, basically, does he have good intentions? And the line that he's skirting is getting thinner, and he's going to eventually fall on one side or the other. So, we don't really know what to think right now, but is Sonya actually going to help him? We'll have to see. I think Sonya is going to help him, but can she help him? That's the question. Can she help him? We'll have to see. But I thought that was definitely a very interesting scene, because it's kind of like they reunite. And then the very last scene in the episode, we see Eleanor again. She's teasing Kyle with sex, because she told him she would give him sex, and he kind of hesitates. He doesn't want to touch her in a place like his, he doesn't want to touch her in a place like his garage, and eventually they end up at a storage facility. She leads him into her unit, tempts him into touching her, not before asking about his friend that was with him the other night and where his friend lives. The boy answers that as best as he can. They move farther into the dark storage unit, and the camera pans down to tell us that they're standing on a plastic tarp, and it's no surprise that she then, as she's talking to him, she then stabs him, and he dies. I'm pretty sure we knew he was gonna die, but wow, was that brutal. I mean, that was brutal what she did. That was like a brutal scene, and I thought that was honestly very, very well done. I thought it was very cool the way they did that, and I really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was definitely very brutal. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Marco plot, the Sonya plot, and the Eleanor plot. They were all very interesting. We'll have to talk about them. But, I'll talk about them in a few seconds, and there's a laundry alarm, of course. You guys have heard that go off before. But, let's get to the subplot in this episode. The subplot has to do with Daniel and Adriana. I really enjoyed their plot in this episode. They are getting a lead on a man called Raul Quintana, who is likely involved in their investigation. Because if you remember, they're trying to get that, I believe they're trying to get, like, money back or something. Now, they're led to a drag queen club, basically, full of, like, transvestites. And they find this guy, Raul, who happens to be a transvestite and performer at the club. Now, Daniel starts questioning Raul about his Aunt Millie and why he was deported mere weeks after getting asylum in the U.S. And Raul looks around, which confirms to us that there are eyes and ears on him. And Daniel doesn't quite get that, though, and continues to pester him. Now, Raul has no choice but to totally punch him out, and that was one of the funniest parts of the episode, definitely. I thought that was honestly hilarious when that happened. Now, but eventually he does come out of the club. He's dressed down in men's attire, and he finds Daniel and Adriana, and he apologizes. He says, look, I was just trying to keep my cover. I, asked them to keep a check-in on a man called, Chiquito, who had helped with his aunt, and whom he hasn't heard from the past few weeks. And, yeah, so this is all the information they need, because they then go to Chiquito's apartment, which does not smell very good. You can tell that. And they find his dead body in a duffel bag. Wow, I mean, that was a really great twist. When they found his dead body in a duffel bag, it was like, holy fucking shit, this is awesome. I mean, this episode was amazing. Really, it really was. It really was a fantastic episode. By the way, they're trying to find a lead on the money. That's what they were trying to do. So they did find bank slips, but there's a dead body. So we'll have to see what they actually do with this dead body and what they're going to actually do to this and how they're going to react and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next. But this episode was amazing. I really love this episode. A lot of crazy shit went down this episode. A lot of stuff I'm really wondering about. First of all, what is going to happen with Hank? What is he hiding from Sonya? Clearly, as I said, Hank and I believe his name is Jim. I forgot what his name was. Hank and Jack, they know each other, and they don't want him, Hank does not want him to get close to Sonya, and why is that? Why does he not want him to get close to Sonya? We don't know why. It's going to be interesting to see why he does not want him to get close to Sonya. Also, why doesn't, what else happened the night that, that Hank killed, that Hank shot Dobbs. You know, there's clearly something else that happened here, and they're not talking about it. So, we're gonna have to see what actually happened, but I feel like something else happened here, and we just don't know, and they're not telling us. You know, we're gonna have to see what happens there, definitely. Also, is Sonya going to help, so is Sonya gonna help Marco? I mean, can she help him, really? After that huge fight, I really don't know if she can help him. He needs to get control of his anger, definitely. He needs to get control of his anger before he gets anybody's help, really, because if he doesn't control his anger, then it's gonna get worse for him, and we obviously don't want that, so that's obviously not a good thing. As far as Eleanor goes, I feel like Eleanor is never gonna stop. You know, she's gonna keep becoming ruthless. What is Eleanor's next plan gonna be? All we know is that she just completed her next victim. You know, she kind of, it seems like she's gonna, like, make her victims kind of do the dirty work, make it seem like they did stuff for her. I don't know, we'll have to see what she does, personally. I don't know what she's gonna do, but, and I guess the only other thing is, like, what's gonna happen, you know, who's gonna take down, you know, who's gonna take down, you know, basically, who's going to take down Galvin? Because, you know, Marco wants to take him down right now. Sonya, Hank, you know, they all want to take right now. You know, they really want to take down Galvin at this point. And also, what's going to happen with Adriana and Daniel? You know, now they have the money, but there's this dead body to worry about. So what's going to happen with that? We'll have to see. But I'm really enjoying this show. I'm really happy I started watching this show. It was easier to understand what's going on in this episode than the previous one. The previous one, I just did not know what was going on in, so that's why my review is so short. But this episode, I absolutely loved. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. I'm so glad I started watching this show. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Wilfred. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.